Hello and welcome back to Quietly Secure. So far in this series, we've talked about passwords, scams, AI and deepfakes, phones, and smart devices. Today, we're going to talk about something many more people fear quietly and often deal with alone: what to do after a breach. By breach, I mean things like a service you use announcing that data was leaked, an account being accessed unexpectedly, or discovering that your details were part of a known data leak. If that's happened to you before, or if it ever does in the future, I want to start with this. Take a breath. A breach is stressful, but it's not the end of the world, and it doesn't mean you've failed. One of the hardest parts of a breach is the feeling that you need to fix everything at once. Change all passwords, check every account, lock everything down immediately. That sense of urgency is understandable, but reacting in panic often leads to mistakes, missteps, or burnout. So instead, we're going to focus on order. After a breach, there are 3 questions that matter the most. What was affected? What could it lead to? And what's the next most useful step? Not everything needs attention. Not everything needs attention right now. Let's start with the most important account in almost every situation: your email. If there's any chance your email account is affected, that's the first place to focus. Why? Because email is how most password resets work. If someone controls your email, they can often work their way into other accounts. So that first step after a breach is simple. Make sure your email account is secure. Change the password if needed. Turn on 2-factor authentication if it isn't already on. If you've listened to the first podcast, it should already be on. Check with unfamiliar forwarding rules or recovery addresses. Those simple steps dramatically limit further damage. Next, think about passwords. If a breach involved usernames and passwords, assume the password is no longer safe. Anywhere it's used needs to be updated. This is where prioritization matters. Start with financial accounts, cloud storage, and anything that could be used to impersonate you. You don't have to fix everything in one session. Progress beats perfection. Another important step is to watch for follow-up scams. Breaches often lead to more convincing phishing attempts. Emails that say, "We've noticed suspicious activity. Please confirm your details. This is related to a recent breach." Scammers know people are on the edge. So, after a breach, be extra cautious about messages that reference it. Go directly to services you trust. Don't click links under pressure. Slow the moment down. Now, a quick word about credit freezes and monitoring, because this advice is often given immediately. If a breach involves financial or identity information, those tools can be helpful, but they're not always urgent, and that's not required for every incident. Again, context matters. A leaked email address is different from leaked identity documents. Calm assessment beats blanket reaction. So let's talk about mindset, because that part's rarely addressed. A breach is not a moral failure. It's not a sign that you didn't care enough. Most breaches happen because systems fail, not because individuals do. The goal isn't to be invulnerable. It's to recover well. So, here's a practical takeaway for this episode. After any breach, focus on 3 things in this order. Secure your email. Update any reused passwords. Be cautious about follow-up messages. If you do just those 3 things, you've handled the majority of real risk. Everything else is optional improvements. One last thing. Security incidents feel personal, but they're incredibly common. The difference between ongoing harm and temporary problem is usually a calm, deliberate set of actions. Quietly Secure isn't about preventing every possible issue, it's about knowing what to do when things go wrong. In the next episode, we'll bring the season together and talk about building simple security habits that last without constant effort. Thank you for listening to Quietly Secure. You can handle this.